So there's a lot of details about GTA 6 characters that barely anyone is covering. Where they came from, how they connect, or what their lines on the Rockstar website actually mean for the story. So in this video I'm going through every character we know in GTA 6 right now, and I will make sure to give you a complete picture of what's awaiting us in the GTA 6 story with these characters. But before we get into the characters, here's one character detail that almost nobody caught. There's a guard who appears in two completely different scenes, and we don't know his name yet, but in one he's a security guard in the bank, and in another he's a prison guard. What's interesting is that besides having a different hairstyle and glasses, he also has a ring on his finger in this scene. So at some point he was married, which tells us the story has at least two different timelines, maybe even years apart. And in both scenes, it's Jason who talks to him and makes eye contact with him. In one of these scenes, this guard reacts almost like he has some deep memory of Jason, asking if he's seen him before.
I seen you here before.
You might have.
Like if Jason's voice or face triggered something. Of course, we don't know which event happened first, but this guard definitely remembers Jason somehow. Anyway, let's get into the characters. So we have two main protagonists, but let's start with the one most people consider the face of GTA 6, Lucia Caminos. She's the first female protagonist. According to leaks, her in-game height is around 5'3" or 160 centimeters, so she's on the shorter side compared to most of the women we see in the trailers. Her voice actress is almost certainly Manny Perez. She played a dealer in the Diamond Casino back in GTA Online. And when people started asking her about GTA 6 on Instagram, she stopped responding to those comments entirely and eventually took her account down. That kind of thing really only happens when you signed an NDA. Now, Lucia was born and raised in Liberty City, the same city you know from GTA 4, and her father trained her to fight from a young age. That fighting, whether to protect herself or her family, is what eventually landed her in prison. That's basically where GTA 6 picks up. There's also a small detail people noticed. She wears a golden necklace with a boxing glove on it, which most people think was a gift from her father. One early leak also mentions she may have had a child before going to prison and had to leave it behind, but that hasn't been confirmed, so take it with a grain of salt. What is interesting though is this. Rockstar's website says sheer luck got her out of prison, but the way Trailer 2 frames things, with the cops and then Jason collecting her. A lot of people think Jason had something to do with her release, some kind of deal, but we will have to wait and see. As a protagonist, Lucia comes across as action-oriented, calculated and way more driven compared to Jason. She trains fighting in her spare time, probably makes some money through underground cage fights, while she's doing community service after being released from prison. And she's clearly someone who wants to prove herself and build a rich life in Vice City. You can hear it in the line Rockstar chose to put in the trailer.
Trust me, this place is just the start for us.
Her signature vehicle seems to be the Declasse Tulip. You can spot it several times across both trailers. Next up, Jason Duval, the other half of this duo. According to leaks, his in-game height is around 6'1" or 185 centimeters. And from what Rockstar has told us, he grew up surrounded by criminals. Joined the military to try and escape that world, and then came back and fell straight into that criminal lifestyle anyway. This guy is basically a criminal with military training, who just can't catch a break. At the start of GTA 6, he's living in the Loneida Keys, trying to keep things simple, doing work for a drug smuggler named Brian Heather, smuggling, debt collection and working in the boatyard. But there's a quote on the Rockstar website for Jason that says, "If anything happens, I'm right behind you." That feels like something he says to Lucia. And combined with the word trust that appears in trailer 1,
Trust.
it really seems like no matter what happens, Jason has her back. Also because of his military background, there's a leaked rumor that he will have a special ability similar to Red Dead Redemption 2, slowing down time and revealing weak points, which makes sense for someone with that kind of military training. Jason is also portrayed as pretty good looking. And Rockstar doesn't tease things for nothing. So the trailers either hint at some kind of open relationship system where you can date other characters, or his attractiveness is probably going to create some kind of friction between him and Lucia at some point in the story, and they want to point it out. He seems more relaxed compared to Lucia, and seems to want to settle down by doing home renovations. In his free time he's working out, gaming, and hanging out with his best friend Cal. His signature vehicle is Vapid, a brand new model in GTA 6, and Vapid is basically GTA's version of Ford. Oh, and apparently he might have a pet iguana. Anyway, take that one with a grain of salt too. Now let's quickly touch on Stephanie. She appears right at the start of trailer 1, and she looks like a social worker at the Loneida Department of Corrections, which is where Lucia is being held. You can actually see her name on her badge in that scene, which is the only reason we know who she is. Honestly, she probably won't have a massive role in the story, but if there's a prison prologue, which a lot of people in the community think is likely, she will probably show up there, but we will see. Now here's where it gets interesting. Let's talk about Raul Batista. His quote on the Rockstar website says, "Life is full of surprises, my friend. I think we would all be wise to remember that." That line tells you everything. This guy gives off a vibe like he's always 2 steps ahead. He reminds me of Dutch from Red Dead 2, the type of person who seems like he's on your side right up until the moment he isn't. Rockstar describes him as a calculated and experienced bank robber who hunts for talent and chases the biggest rewards. And based on what we've seen, that talent he found is Jason and Lucia. He appears to be the one running the San Frontier National Bank heist, which might be the most important heist of the entire story. And he reminds me a lot of the character Neil McCauley from the movie Heat. Someone who knows exactly what he wants, how to get it, and won't let anything get in the way, including Q. If GTA 6 has a major betrayal moment, and let's be honest, Rockstar Games always do, Raul Batista is at the top of the list. Now, Cal Hampton is Jason's best friend and probably the most likable character in the whole game. He works with Jason down at the brand's marina, so he's definitely wrapped up in the drug running too. But his personality is just chill and friendly. He's into conspiracy theories and stuff like that, which means there's probably going to be some really fun side missions where we help him with chasing aliens, Skunk Cape, Loch Ness and prove some other conspiracies. That's the kind of stuff GTA has always done well, and he will be our gateway into that world. The friendship between Cal and Jason reminds me of Nico and Roman in GTA 4. Not in terms of personality, but more just the dynamic of 2 guys doing random stuff together like fishing, playing pool and hanging out. So he really seems like interesting character who will bring a lot of fun to GTA 6. Now, this is someone the community doesn't have a name for yet, but we think he's Lucia's close friend, or maybe even a relative like a cousin. And I think he's got a much bigger role in the story than people are giving him credit for. He shows up twice in trailer 2. First, taking a selfie with Lucia and Jason, and second in the Rusty Anchor Bar scene, where he seems to be talking with one of Lucia's close friends. 2 separate scenes is not an accident, and there's a theory going around that the selfie itself is going to cause problems later in the story. Whether it gets used as evidence, or somehow reveals their location at the wrong time, leading to a pivotal moment in the story, given how deliberately Rockstar puts things in trailers, I wouldn't rule that out. Now, connected to this guy is this woman. We don't know much about her, but she appears to be pregnant. There's a theory that her name is Shanese, a character who was mentioned in the early GTA 6 leaks as someone very close to Lucia. In trailer 1, there's also a social media profile shown during the introduction of the in-game social medias, and the username looks like Shanese or something similar. We can't be 100% sure, but it's the closest the theories have gotten us, and in my opinion, their faces look pretty similar. Next, we have a very important character. Brian Heather is the drug smuggler who runs Brian's bootworks and marina, and in a lot of ways he's a father figure to Jason. It's been said he's letting Jason stay in his property in exchange for work and visiting him and his wife Lori to drink some sangria with them. On top of that, he also drives a massive Vapid Caracara, and it kinda seems he gets Jason to do his dirty work for him. In one of the screenshots, Brian is shown in the passenger seat of his Vapid Caracara with Jason in the driver's seat with body armor on. Then we can also see Jason piloting a buzzard, while Brian is sitting behind a machine gun chasing those grasshopper folks on airboats. And it actually seems like that guy is aiming straight at Jason there. Brian also owns this plane, and there's an interesting quote about it. "I've hauled so much grass in that plane, I could make the state of Lawnida levitate," which tells us he's a real old school guy in the drug dealing world, and probably one of the biggest ones back in the day. But nowadays, with things changing and new gangs ruling Vice City, he seems to be more chill and doing other things like real estate while laundering money, using the marina as his cover for the smuggling activities. Now, following up on that, Lori is Brian's wife, and it's worth noting that Rockstar specifically describes her as his third wife, which raises an obvious question. What happened to the first 2? With Brian's criminal history, you have to wonder if that comes up somewhere in the story. Anyway, she works closely with Brian to keep the operation running smoothly, and based on the trailers and screenshots, she clearly knows how to handle weapons. You can see proper trigger discipline and tactical gear, and I think it's obvious that we will see Lori very often alongside Brian. At least that's what the screenshots and trailers indicate. Now we have the Hammer Lady that shows up in trailer 1, and is also based on a real event, basically GTA's version of a Karen moment involving hammers. There's a rumor she might be one of the Brian's ex-wives, but nothing actually points to that. What we do know is that she seems to live in or near Hamlet on the GTA 6 map, so keep your eyes open when you are exploring that area. The next guy I want to talk about is this character we can see in multiple screenshots. What's interesting about him is that he's probably the only character Rockstar has tried to hide the face of, which already tells you something. We can pretty much tell he's likely Jason and Cal's friend due to pictures with them during free time activities. But first and foremost, he's supposed to be Brian's main pilot, the one trafficking those drugs for Brian that Cal and Jason collect later around the Keys and Leonida. He's likely smuggling them from the south, so we can assume he knows Spanish really well and knows the cartels personally. Now let's talk about the detective, who is almost certainly the main person investigating Jason and Lucia, and possibly Brian as well. We don't have a name yet, but he seems like one of the main antagonists of the story. And the GTA 6 community seems pretty convinced he's going to die at some point in the story. And on top of that, there's a specific scene that made many people speculate he's the one who had some kind of deal with Jason, and that one of the people in that scene is actually supposed to be Jason, which will support the whole theory of Jason being an undercover cop. But I don't really know about that. We will just have to wait and see. Now, Boobie Ike is the owner of the Jack of Hearts Club, one of the more prominent Vice City businesses shown in trailers. He's said to be a former street hustler who worked himself up to become both a club owner and a music label owner and built his own business empire. Because of that, he now owns a lot of real estate and even a recording studio. But according to Rockstar, the club money pays for the studio and the drug money pays for it all, so he never really left his old shady life behind. From what we know, his employees include Drake One Priest, The Real Dimes, and a club DJ called Tit. Now Drake One is Boobie's right hand, and specifically the person who runs Only Raw Records, the music label Boobie owns. And just like Boobie, he's a former street dealer, but he's trying to make a name for himself in the music industry, to live a better life. He seems like a genuine friend to Jason, in at least one scene, which makes me slightly nervous, because Boobie gives off the vibe of someone who could use that friendship to betray us later in the story. Now let's talk about The Real Dimes. These two are a rap duo that Rockstar clearly based on a real Miami artists, called City Girls. Baylex is the flashy one. She has a heavy social media presence, cares a lot about her image, and they both had an early hit single with a rapper we haven't identified yet besides his name. Roxy is her best friend since high school, and despite how they look on the surface, Rockstar's description mentions they've been shaking down local dealers while building their fan base, so they are not as soft as they appear. In my opinion, these two might be pretty annoying, and I imagine Rockstar will use them as a source of chaos, getting us bails them out of trouble all the time, but that's just my feeling about what their role will be in the story. Next up, Phil and his Ammunition, which is probably located somewhere around Vice City. He's basically the textbook Florida man character in GTA 6. Clearly unhinged, big personality, and it really makes him fit into that whole Florida team. I can't wait to hear his voice lines in Ammunition, honestly. And a lot of fans also think he's a reimagined version of Phil Cassidy, so maybe he is son or grandson, and the business has just been passed down through generations. But next up, let's talk about a hilarious character, who actually went pretty viral in real life for legal reasons. The Leonida Joker. He's allegedly based on the real-life Florida Joker. I think he's not going to play a big role in GTA 6, and he's probably just going to be a meme character used for Rockstar's satire. And according to the news screen, if we translate it, he was convinced of his crimes based on the tattoos on his neck. Now, there are few more characters we know will be in the game, but don't have much detail on it. V-Man has been mentioned in multiple leaks, and it's probably this one guy people have spotted in this screenshot. Also, there's a woman fans called Mad Girl, who interestingly slightly resembles Michael's daughter Tracy from GTA 5 if she was older. There's also an already mentioned DJ named Tit, who works at the Jack of Hearts Club. Jason has an unnamed neighbor who calls out to him by name, with a small dog, probably a chihuahua. Sam should be Drake One's partner and has been spotted in the leaks. It might be this guy here. And then there are several characters who appear to be members of rival gangs and criminal organizations across Leonida, people we will run into in the story or free roam while exploring, each probably connected to different parts of the map. So that's every character we know in GTA 6 right now. And honestly, with Raul Batista potentially setting up betrayal, Jason and Lucia's backstory still not fully explained, and the detective being tied to God knows what, the story has a lot to uncover. Let me know in the comments what you think about all of this. And if you want more GTA 6 content like this, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one, boys.